Hello friends, this is Tim Collins coming to you again with our weekend word. Well, I flew down to the Southern Command on Thursday night and discovered when I took the Southern Command vehicle out that it needed a brake job. It was scrubbing, making a racket, and so I even though I only have one day before I have to turn around and leave Saturday morning down for about a 5-hour trip down into Florida ministry, I had to take that one day and do a brake job on the Hyundai here. And yeah, this rotor here was just all chewed up, and it needed brakes pretty bad, and so I did them, even though I had a ton of other things I could have been doing. And it dawned on me, really, you don't have to have brakes to drive the car. It'll drive from here to Florida without brakes. It'll drive from here to California. If it doesn't have any brakes at all, drive fine. It'll do 90 miles an hour, never notice it doesn't have brakes. Does that mean brakes are unimportant? Why was it so necessary that I spend the one day I have here that I could be accomplishing a lot of other things? Why is it so important that I change brakes on this vehicle? You can drive without them. Oh, but they are important. They are. It'll drive fine, but if you have occasion to want to stop the vehicle, you're going to need brakes. So just because the vehicle works fine, drives fine, runs okay with no brakes doesn't mean they're not important. However, sometimes people in the body of Christ don't realize that the body is made up of a lot of parts. Paul said that. 1 Corinthians 12:12, he says, just as a body, though one body, has many parts, but all its many parts form one body, so it is with Christ. The body of Christ has a lot of different parts, and sometimes people feel like, well, their part is not important in the body of Christ, and that's not true. Every part of the body is important. Other people look down their nose at some that they feel have a less important part in the body than they have, and the eye may feel like, well, it really doesn't need a toe, but if you've ever broken a toe, you know how important a toe is. Every part of the body is needed. Paul said so on down in 1 Corinthians 12. I'll just read the beginning at verse 14. Even so, the body is not made up of one part, but of many. Now, if the foot should say, because I'm not a hand, I do not belong to the body, it would not for that reason stop being part of the body. And if the ear should say, because I am not an eye, I do not belong to the body, it would not for that reason stop being part of the body. If the whole body were an eye, where would the sense of hearing be? If the whole body were an ear, where would the sense of smell be? But in fact, God has placed the parts in the body, every one of them, just as He wanted them to be. So don't feel like that your part in the body is not needed, and don't feel like your part is more important than somebody else's part. Every part of the body of Christ is needed. Every part needs to function as it should. If an eye decided it was going to rebel because it couldn't hear and it insisted on hearing, then the body not only goes without sight, but it interferes with the hearing. It just doesn't function well. Fulfill your part in the body of Christ. Do what God has placed you on the earth to do, what God has called you to do, commissioned you to do. Do what God has given you to do in the body of Christ. Fulfill your part. Be the member of the body that God has created you to be, so that the whole body functions together perfectly. Well, I hope you'll be in church somewhere Sunday, worshiping God in spirit and in truth. God bless you. We love you.